This page is the front cover of 64 magazine, Volume 5, showcasing the best-selling N64 magazine from the UK. Blazoned across the cover is Lilat Wars, promising a review and complete guide, alongside the latest news on Ultra Donkey Kong, straight from the creators. Extreme G is also heavily featured, declared as Acclaim's 21st century racer. You've got a glimpse of the game with a futuristic female rider and in-game screenshots. Prominently mentioned is GoldenEye, boldly proclaimed as better than Mario. Underneath, a list boasts every new game reviewed, including Multi-Racing Championship, Wayne Gretzky Hockey, Gambar Gomon, NBA Hangtime, Tetrisphere, Doom 64, and Hexen. At the bottom, Top Gear Rally, Body Harvest, Sonic Wings Assault, and Rare are also noted. It's a jam-packed issue in it. This page kicks off with an advert for Blast Corps, where you're a member of the Blast Corps unit driving 15 different vehicles like the agile Skyfall buggy and the powerful Backlash unit on a demolition mission. Over on the right, it's the contents page for Volume 5 of 64 magazine. First up is Bike to the Future, focusing on Acclaim's sci-fi racer Extreme G, billed as the fastest game on the N64, with a visit to Probe Entertainment. Then there's GoldenEye, declaring James Bond's arrival as the best game on the N64. And lastly, an exclusive first look at the new game from Nintendo and Rare, which is Diddy Kong Racing. This page is the content spread, carrying on from the last one. First off, there's 64 Showcase talking about Quake 64 being delayed in Europe, and some 64DD news. Apparently this magazine is Britain's best-selling N64 mag. Woohoo! When I'm 64 is the letters page. Rare Groove is an exclusive interview with Rare, likely about GoldenEye or Diddy Kong Racing, from the previous page I reckon. There's something on Gambar Gomon, must be Mystical Ninja starring Gomon, that quirky Japanese adventure. Multi-Racing Championship gets a mention too, that's the F1 racer. Then Lilat Wars is there, that's Star Fox 64 in the US, isn't it? Doom 64 is also on the list, that darker, more intense take on the classic shooter. Cheats Central covers codes and cheats for the latest games. The reviews section covers all the latest games from the UK, Japan and America, reviewed by their infallible lords of fun, Cheeky. Games reviewed include GoldenEye, Ganbara Gomon, Multi-Racing Championship, Tetrisphere, Lilat Wars, Doom 64, Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey, NBA Hangtime, and Hexen. The previews section teases upcoming games, like Top Gear Rally, Body Harvest from DMA Design before they were Rockstar, Sonic Wings Assault, F1 Pole Position, WCW vs NWO, Clay Fighter 63 1/3, Jeopardy, and Wheel of Fortune. Finally, there's Nindex, the repository for all the magazine's collected game wisdom. And splashed across the right-hand side is a big advert for Turok. Dinosaur Hunter Hunting Season Open. Classic dinosaur shooter, that one. This issue critiques the recycling of ideas in games, comparing film sequels to N64 games. The highlight is an exclusive preview of Diddy Kong Racing, praised for its visual style and diverse vehicles, drawing comparisons to Mario Kart 64. News includes Quake 64's delayed 2-player mode, potentially expanding to 4-player, and speculation on the 64D's piracy protection. Staff profiles reveal a love for GoldenEye amongst the team, especially editor and using McDermott. The issue also includes a message about a lost memory card winner and a celebratory advert boasting high sales figures. This page highlights various N64 news and features. 64 Solutions magazine, a tips guide for N64 games, is introduced. The Eurovision piece discusses the European market, noting easier game releases despite high costs. Mario Brought to Book reviews a comprehensive Super Mario 64 strategy guide. Latest release dates, previews upcoming games, including GoldenEye and Banjo-Kazooie. Shake Apart a Kart discusses Mario Kart, 64's Rumble Pack support, and upcoming Nintendo titles. Dead or Alive reports on potential N64 port rumors. Game Taken Over details Take-Two's acquisition of Gamatech's European arm and the delay of Robotech. Crystal Dreams. News Nuggets reveals Yoshi's Story's renaming, Zelda 64's pending release, and delays for Banjo-Kazooie, Kirby's Air Ride, and a golf game. Finally, the 64 charts list the top-selling N64 games, with Mario Kart 64 at number 1. This page in 64 site gives us a look at upcoming Nintendo 64 titles. First up is Zelda 64, showcasing more combat moves and hinting at Tomb Raider influences, with Link riding a horse across vast landscapes. Shigeru Miyamoto is dropping hints about fairies, weapons, and even 2 types of swords for Link to choose from. They reckon it's going to be a massive game on a 256 MB cartridge, which is 4 times the size of Super Mario 64. Next, we've got 4064. The big news is 4-player mode, which is pretty exciting. Graphically, the backgrounds aren't as detailed as Extreme G, but it's still early days, and they are focusing on playability, aiming to make it more accessible, as they reckon 4064 could get too fast and impossible otherwise. Finally, there's Yoshi's Story. Seems Nintendo has changed the title from Yoshi's Island 2, for reasons only they know, comparing it to when Star Fox became Lilat Wars. This page is a cracking advert from Gameplay, boasting about being Britain's largest mail-order supplier for computer games. They're pushing Nintendo 64 consoles at £134.99, with deals including games like Mario Kart 64 and Super Mario 64. There's a big list of UK Nintendo 64 games available, everything from FIFA Soccer 64 to Wave Race 64. They've even got imported US games, in case you fancy something a bit different, like Blastcore or Cruising USA. Looking at joysticks, they've got the official Nintendo one, coloured ones, and some third-party options like the Shark Arcade Stick. The Coming Soon section is interesting, featuring games like Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye, and Zelda 64. We heard about Zelda and F-Zero on the previous page, and they're showing F-Zero 64 and Yoshi's Island here as well. Also spotted is Quake and San Francisco Rush. And the new 4. They're even flogging the Virtual Boy for just under £40, with games like Mario Clash and Virtual Boy Wario Land. A bit of a blast from the past, that one. Loads of other accessories are listed too, memory cards, steering wheels and all sorts. And if you're after a bargain, they've got a section for second-hand games. Right at the bottom, a small section for PlayStation games and an order form to fill in and send off. All in all, a pretty comprehensive spread of N64 gear available. This page in 64 site starts off with a look at John Madden 64 from eSports, slated for November. They're talking about the usual American football action, and mentioning a new helmet cam view. Reckon it'll be going head-to-head with Acclaim's NFL quarterback club. Next up is Hybrid Heaven from Konami, due summer '98 in Japan. Sounds like a 3D sci-fi action game, but details are still a bit thin on the ground. Then we've got Puyo Puyo Sun 64 from Compile, coming this October from Japan. It's a puzzle game in the Tetris style, with colourful blobs, simple to play, but they reckon it's addictive. Moving on to Lamborghini 64 from Titus, set for late September in the A's. It's a racer they say you wait ages for one and then loads come at once for the N64. This one's got a 4-player mode too. Konami also has NBA in the Zone 98 lined up for December in the US. They're keen to point out it's a proper basketball game unlike NBA Hangtime, aiming for realism with full 5-player teams and season modes. Lastly, there's Weetrix from Ocean, a puzzle game by British developers, Vinesid 2 for Winter '97. It's a bit of a weird one where you're draining water from isometric landscapes. Supports 2 players apparently. This month's letters section has expanded due to high reader response. Benji criticizes Shadows of the Empire, disagreeing with its high review score. Mark expresses concern about the 64DD, comparing it to Sega's failed add-ons. Andy questions discrepancies in game certifications, particularly Resident Evil and Duke Nukem 64. Gavin sarcastically criticizes Nintendo's perceived censorship, arguing against strict age ratings for games like Doom 64 and War Gods. Rich, the final letter writer, dislikes an editorial's Nintendo bias, advocating for someone who appreciates the console and its games, citing titles like Banjo-Kazooie and Wave Race 64. The section also includes an advertisement for N64 peripherals and announces prize winners for memory cards. This magazine page features reader letters and humorous memory card losers' submissions. A reader complaint regarding 64 magazine's higher price in Dublin due to import duties is addressed. Another reader accuses Future Publishing's N64 magazine of content copying. The page then shifts to advertisements and club news. Club news promotes Special Reserve, offering pre-release games, a Nottingham shop opening, membership perks like free gifts and magazines for £6. Advertisements for N64 games, finance deals on bundles, including controllers, games, and memory cards, and accessories, rumble packs, extension leads, etc., follow. Finally, A Sony 14 TV ad highlights its N64 compatibility, and a special reserve shop ad details multiple store openings and membership offers. This page is a feature article on Extreme G, a futuristic racing game from British developers Probe Entertainment, who Acclaim are hoping will be their next big franchise, comparing it to Turok. The preview suggests Extreme G could be a real contender in the racing genre, possibly even surpassing Wipeout and F-Zero. Developers Darren Anderson, the producer, and John Taylor, the designer, are interviewed, describing Extreme G as an intense rollercoaster ride, emphasizing its speed and unique track designs with loops and upside-down sections. Screenshots showcase the fast-paced gameplay, including racing within a volcano and on inverted tracks, highlighting the visual intensity and track variety. The article names the Extreme G development team, listing Darren Anderson, Giles Ford Crush, animation, Ashley Bennett, lead programmer, Andy Cambridge, world modeler, Omri Stevenson, world modeler, John Taylor, bike artwork and modeling, Sadie Pete, world modeler, Greg Modern, weapons programmer, Justin Bravery, texture mapper, Sean Hargreaves, front-end programmer, John Trafford, artist and world modeler, and Lloyd Murphy, lead artist. John Taylor is directly quoted, dismissing comparisons to Wipeout, saying, "Wipeout, sure," indicating the team's ambition for Extreme G to stand out and be better than its rivals, promising top-notch gameplay and a unique identity. Extreme G, a futuristic racer, is heavily focused on speed and intense gameplay. The game utilizes the Spline engine for track design and physics. It offers 12 basic racetracks, battle tracks inspired by Mario Kart, and additional game modes like a shoot-'em-up and a championship. Weapons are a key component, allowing for dirty tactics, including flame exhausts and homing missiles. The article also previews Ultra Soccer, a Wipeout-inspired soccer game in early development, aiming to compete with ISS-64. It will feature unique elements like moonwalking players. Initial impressions highlight the game's speed, even faster than Mario Kart. While acknowledging comparisons to Wipeout, Extreme G aims to feel distinct. The 4-player battle mode maintains good performance. Success hinges on expanded options, tracks, and maintaining player interest beyond the initial impact. New. The next page showcases Forsaken, a new N64 title from Probe and Acclaim, being billed as Descent on steroids. It's described as a Xerox shooter, with a plot about preventing stolen secrets falling into the wrong hands. They reckon it'll be out by the end of the year or early 1998, and it's boasting 2-player mode with impressive light sourcing effects. There's a section titled Carts Before the Oars, where the developers are talking about the limitations of cartridges compared to PlayStation threads. They mention having to be much more efficient with memory, giving the example that where you could have 10 levels on PlayStation, you might only have 1 on the N64. They're also discussing their previous PlayStation Die Hard game, and how they're having to adapt their approach for the N64, focusing on quality over quantity. They mention polygon counts and textures, striving to make the game as good as it possibly can be within the cartridge constraints. Below this, it's mainly adverts for Blaze accessories, like memory cards, the SFX64 game adapter for import games, controller extension cables, and various video cables like SCART's video and AV cables. Standard stuff for getting the most out of your Pen 64 setup back then. Rare, the creators of games like Donkey Kong Country and GoldenEye 007, is the subject of this article. Based in the unassuming English village of Twycross, the secretive studio developed GoldenEye alongside the James Bond film's release. Despite past hesitations with film licenses, Rare took on the project, producing a game of exceptional quality. The article highlights the game's lengthy development and showcases screenshots of levels like the Dam and Deathmatch gameplay. It mentions their use of silicon graphics machines and a flash ROM cartridge. The article also humorously includes a spoof BBFC certificate, adding a touch of bomb-themed fun. Rare, developers of GoldenEye 007, saw potential in the 64DD, dismissing much online negativity as inaccurate. They found the disc-based format's lower cost appealing, and possessed a development kit. Simon from Rare suggested the extra storage could enable more features, and even the addition of extra levels to GoldenEye. The article highlights Rare's preference for fresh talent, like lead designer Duncan, who previously worked outside the industry. Duncan viewed the 64DD as potentially offering additional time for feature implementation. The page includes GoldenEye 007 screenshots, showcasing gameplay elements and hidden characters. The article also reveals a team photo featuring key members involved in the game's development. Borincha. GoldenEye 07's development at Rare is explored, focusing on its team and design process. Lead designer Duncan, a newcomer, discusses Rare's willingness to embrace fresh talent and their team-oriented approach to brainstorming ideas, including ambitious concepts like jetpacks. The relatively small team, initially around 7 members, later grew to include sound and music specialists. Motion capture, even for explosion animations, was a key element, with Duncan personally involved in iconic sequences like the bungee jump. The page offers a glimpse into Rare's workspace, featuring screenshots showcasing gameplay, like the satisfying grenade launcher, and motion-captured action. An advertisement for Surflink internet services highlights the era of dial-up internet, offering unlimited access for £75 a year. This article explores the development of GoldenEye 007 at Rare, highlighting the team's confidence and creative environment. Level design was a key focus, reflecting Rare's commitment to high-quality game development. The manageable team size fostered effective management and a focused creative atmosphere. The game's authenticity was enhanced through collaboration with Eon Productions, using original film blueprints. GoldenEye's deathmatch mode included a range of Bond villains due to licensing limitations on the James Bond characters. The article also provides a glimpse into Rare's future projects, including the upcoming Conker's Quest and a tentatively titled Ultra Donkey Kong, a 3D platformer for the N64 developed by the Donkey Kong Country 3 team, showing Rare's ambition to leverage the console's capabilities. This review of GoldenEye 007 for the Nintendo 64 hails it as a triumph, even surpassing the expectations set by the console itself, and even comparing it favorably to Mario 64. The game showcases the 64-bit hardware's capabilities with impressive graphics, smooth gameplay, and excellent level design, alongside a fantastic multiplayer mode. The review highlights the game's structure, difficulty levels, and detailed level objectives. The game features 18 detailed levels, plus bonus stages. The graphics are superior, especially compared to other N64 titles. The review praises the Rumble Pack feature as a subtle yet effective addition. The game's authentic James Bond representation, including various character looks and likenesses, is also noted. Screenshots and a 64 Magazine Gold Medal Award further support the review's positive assessment of the game. This review praises GoldenEye 007 for the N64, exceeding expectations and rivaling even Super Mario 64. It's described as a mix of GoldenEye, Turok, and Hexen, highlighting its immersive first-person shooter gameplay. The review, titled Missions Impossible, praises the detailed death animations, clever use of shoulder buttons, and helpful auto-aim. Bond's gadgets, especially the Rolex, are also mentioned. The review covers customizable controls, though default aiming is unusual. It distances GoldenEye from Doom comparisons, emphasizing advancements similar to the evolution from Doom to Quake. The visuals, smooth gameplay, and level design are praised. Single-player missions are outlined, with objectives like bungee jumping and tank battles. Screenshots showcase gameplay, including shooting security cameras and the final Trevelyan fight. The review is enthusiastic, attributing the game's excellence to talented programmers, a large budget, and Nintendo's perfectionism, ultimately calling GoldenEye a special game in its own right. The next page in 64 magazine features a review of GoldenEye, and blimey, it got a stonking 96% overall score. It's lauded as a cracking game, even better than Mario 64 according to this mag. The review highlights the attention to detail, like Bond adjusting his tie, and praises the multiplayer deathmatch mode, which they've nicknamed Get Coltrane. They talk about the weapon selection being a bit fiddly, and the lack of map, or compass, making some levels confusing. Graphically and orally, it scores top marks, with gameplay and lasting challenge also getting full marks. The control setup is shown, detailing button functions for crosshairs, doors, weapon switching, looking, and firing. Alternatives are briefly mentioned, with Shadows of the Empire being the only one listed, reviewed at 88% in a previous issue. Screenshots show in-game action, including the GoldenEye control room objective, and a scene with secret characters like Jaws, and a tiny Moonraker elite woman. Mission details from 13 to 18 are listed, covering stages like Depot, Train, Jungle, Control, Caverns and Cradle, outlining the objectives for each. The overall verdict is clear, a must-have title for N64 owners. Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, known as Kabuki-Go, in this review, embraces its inherent weirdness. The game, a 3D platformer from Konami, features talking dogs, deadly umbrellas, giant robots like Goemon Impact, and battles between kabuki robots. The review praises the game's unique qualities, including impressive in-game cutscenes replacing FMV. The review acknowledges both strengths and weaknesses. Positive aspects include quality cutscenes, numerous songs, and expansive 3D environments. However, it also notes potential issues with pacing, camera performance, and the language barrier for non-Japanese speakers. The game offers standard memory pack support and is currently available as an import. This page is a review of Gambara Goemon from Konami. They're calling it Kabuki Go here. Reckon it's trying to cash in on the mystical ninja vibe, and it's certainly got that Konami weirdness in spades, talking dogs and giant robots all present and correct. They reckon it's got RPG elements, bit of item collecting and village chat, which might be a pain for us Brits with the language barrier, mind you. They're a bit down on the excitement factor, saying it's all a bit too easy, not much tension. Apparently you spend a lot of time just wandering about. They mention some odd enemies, like taxmen and deadly samurai penguins. Sounds right up Goemon Street, doesn't it? There's a bit about chasing a dragon to travel around Japan too. Graphically, audio, gameplay and lasting challenge all get a respectable 4 out of 5 stars, but the overall score is just 70%. Loz Cooper, in the second opinion box, calls it a Mario wannabe, with weird enemies, and reckons to wait for a translated version, if it ever happens. Summing up, they say it could have been great if it had been more exciting, and in English. Seems like a bit of a mixed bag then, good on the quirky side, but maybe a bit lacking in the thrills department. Multi-Racing Championship, MRC, for the N64 developed by Genki, is reviewed as a rally racer aiming for realism. It draws comparisons to other racing games, like Mario Kart and Sega Rally. The game features 8 starting cars, with unlockable options, emphasizing car tuning for road holding, suspension, and aerodynamics. Tracks combine tarmac and off-road environments, incorporating weather effects like snow and rain. Key cars include the Galliant, Subaru-like, the Tigris, similar to Mitsubishi, and the King Rotor, top tier. MRC supports analog control and the rumble pack. Saving hidden tracks and using the controller pack for records are also noted. Positives include good analog control and weather effects. However, the review criticizes the limited track selection, the potential for a PlayStation release, poor sound, and repetitive speech. Despite these drawbacks, the game receives an 8 out of 10 rating. Multi-Racing Championship, MRC, for the N64 received a 67% overall score. The review highlights various car types like the Verno, Meteora, and GTV4, and mentions tracks with both interesting sections and dull scenery. Collision damage feels arcade-like, and the AI is present. Graphics and audio earned 3 out of 5 stars, while gameplay and lasting challenge each received 4 stars. The review's summary notes potential, but criticizes the gameplay. The review also includes a controller layout, and suggests Mario Kart 64 and Cruisin' USA as alternatives. A contrasting second opinion from Damien Butt strongly dislikes the game, calling it slow and boring, preferring Rage Racer on PlayStation. Tetrasphere for N64, a 3D puzzle game developed by H2O and published by Nintendo, receives a 77% score. This next-generation take on Tetris features gameplay on a sphere instead of a flat plane, with the goal of clearing blocks to rescue trapped robots. Players utilize various magic items, like rockets and bombs, to aid in clearing blocks, and can choose between modes like puzzle, rescue, and time trial. The game's graphics and audio earned 4 out of 5 stars, as do the gameplay and lasting challenge. Controls utilize the D-pad for sphere rotation, with A, Z, and B for piece manipulation, and key down for items. While the reviewer finds the game enjoyable once mastered, they acknowledge an initial complexity that might deter some players. The review concludes that Tetrasphere is fun, but potentially confusing at first. A second opinion reinforces this sentiment, highlighting the initial learning curve. This page is a cracking advert for strategy guides focusing on the Nintendo 64. It's pushing 2 main books, a general Nintendo 64 Secrets, Strategies Solutions Guide, and a dedicated Super Mario 64 version. They're boasting these are the only guides you'll ever need, packed with secrets, strategies, solutions, and loads of screenshots, over 1,000 in fact, for the Super Mario 64 book. The general N64 guide looks like it covers a decent spread of games. They list Super Mario 64 of course, Killer Instinct Gold, Wave Race 64, International Superstar Soccer Pro, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, Pilot Wings 64, Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire, and Mario Kart 64. And then there's a plus section mentioning even more games like Cruisin' USA, NBA Hangtime, Wayne Gretzky Hockey, Wipeout 64, Blast Corps, Diddy Kong Racing, Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye 007, Command & Conquer, Turok, and even games like Choppers and Rev Counter. Quite a lineup. Warrington Nachow. On the right there's an order form with prices. The general N64 guide is £14.95, and the Super Mario 64 one is £9.95. Or you can get both for £19.95, saving a fiver. They're taking checks, postal orders, or credit/debit cards. And there's a 24-hour order hotline number to ring if you fancy it. All very tempting if you were struggling with any of these N64 classics back in the day. Right at the bottom, it's got some typically bold marketing spiel. Unauthorized, unrivaled, unbelievable. Classic magazine ad, really. This preview focuses on the N64 game Lilat Wars, Star Fox 64. Released on October 3rd for £59.99, it's a shoot-'em-up from Nintendo. The article criticizes the name change, but acknowledges the game's quality. The game features a storyline where the Star Fox team, led by Fox McCloud, battles Emperor and Gross in the Lilat system using R-Wing fighters, Landmaster tanks, and Blue Marine submarines. The preview highlights the game's impressive graphics and sound, praising the bosses, including a memorable giant head. While a guiding hand player's guide was scrapped, the magazine offers assistance. The PAL Performance section notes moderate borders and slower speed compared to the NTSC version, a common issue. Despite this, the preview considers Lilat Wars a top game, offering compelling gameplay, as illustrated by screenshots of a stone boss and underwater action. This page features the continuation of the Lilat Wars review. It jokes about misheard title gags and criticizes the lack of a save system during gameplay sessions, meaning you must complete the game in one sitting to save medals, but praises the game overall. The review highlights that medals are saved once earned and unlock hidden options. It notes similarity to Star Fox on the Super NES but still deems it brilliant despite being maybe a bit easy. The game gets impressive ratings across the board, with 4 and 5 N64 logos for graphics, audio, gameplay, and lasting challenge, culminating in a massive 95% overall score, summing it up as dazzling, awesome, stunning. Alongside the Lilat Wars review, there's an advert for something called the Mind Lab Orion, claiming it can help you feel profoundly relaxed in minutes. It mentions using light and sound patterns to induce relaxation and improve mental states, even referencing Ptolemy and modern neuroscience research. They're giving away free brochures for it too. This page is a review of Doom 64, billing it as the last gasp for an old classic, but stating it goes out in style. It highlights that Doom 64 is a graphical upgrade from previous versions, describing the levels as more claustrophobic and puzzle-focused, moving away from the multiplayer-centric PC levels. The review mentions new lighting effects creating a more atmospheric feel, and a new weapon, a rapid-fire laser. It notes the enemies are more cunning and tougher than before. Control-wise, it mentions the use of analog control, and sidestepping being mapped to the L and R buttons, which might take some getting used to. The PAL Performance box talks about the UK version being close in speed to the US version, and having small borders. Memory options are listed as saves level and inventory, and controller pack support is the same, only more so. Men and Big Guns section describes the arsenal in the game, including the pistol, shotgun, super shotgun, chain gun, rocket launcher, plasma rifle, BFG 9000, and super laser. There's also mention of a backpack, which increases ammo capacity. The review gives Doom 64 impressive ratings across the board, with 5 out of 5 N64 logos for graphics, audio, gameplay, and lasting challenge. The overall score is a solid 81%, with the summary stating, Doom can still grab you even after all this time. Alternatives mentioned are GoldenEye and Turok, Dinosaur Hunter. Screenshots show in-game action with monsters and weapons. Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey for the N64 receives a glowing review, praised for its sharp graphics and excellent playability, potentially making it the best ice hockey game available. The game boasts a slick presentation, and caters to both casual and serious players with numerous options. Analog control provides smooth skating and precise movements. A standout feature is the 4-player mode, with a smooth frame rate even with multiple players. Special goal celebrations feature fiery nets and air horns. The review includes a chili codes section with cheat codes and compares the game to ISS 64 and NBA Hangtime. Earning 5 out of 5 for graphics, audio, gameplay, and lasting challenge, the game receives an overall score of 82%. The summary highlights its status as the best ice hockey game and emphasizes the fun of multiplayer. Orientant. NBA Hangtime, a Midway-developed basketball game, is reviewed as a simplistic, arcade-style experience akin to NBA Jam, featuring comical elements. While offering custom player saves, the PAL version suffers slight performance issues. The game receives a 60% score, praised for its graphics, audio, gameplay, and lasting challenge, but with the implication it lacks depth. Hexen, a 3D hack-and-slash game from ID/Software Creations, is a Doom-in-a-Dungeon-style game. Its graphics are heavily criticized as dim and murky, along with the level design and multiplayer experience. The PAL version shows some slight improvement. Hexen scores a low 48%, considered disappointing compared to alternative games. This 64 cheat central page highlights cheats for several Nintendo 64 games. For Tetrisphere, players can unlock characters, change gameplay with lines, unlock levels with various codes, and access new music and the credits with specific names. NBA Hangtime has player access codes using pin 0000 to unlock duplicate players, including stars like Penny Hardaway. Players can also change Dennis Rodman's hair color. Multi-Racing Championship offers a guaranteed win using the King Rotor with specific aerodynamic adjustments and reveals a hidden route. The page also includes an advert for Mario Kart 64, touting its competitive and addictive gameplay. This page is a playing guide for Lilat Wars, or as it's known in the US, Star Fox 64. It focuses on the Corneria stage, detailing the mission objective of saving Falco from enemy fighters and navigating through the level. The guide gives tips on taking out enemies efficiently using homing bolts, collecting power-ups, and describes a special exit objective involving flying under stone arches after rescuing Falco. There's a guide for the first boss, which is described as a steam-powered robot that moves slowly and fires homing missiles. The weak spot is highlighted as its rear green section, and the guide suggests circling around or attacking its legs. The page also touches upon medal secrets, explaining that medals are awarded to top players for achieving high hit counts and keeping wingmen alive. Earning all medals unlocks Expert Mode, which significantly increases the game's difficulty. In Expert Mode you'll see Fox's father, and the R-Wing becomes more vulnerable. Expert Mode also unlocks a Versus Mode option, allowing you to play as the Star Fox team themselves. Finally, there's a map of the Lilat system showcasing the various planets and routes, including standard, special, and secret warp routes connecting locations like Corneria, Fortuna, Katina, Sector Y, Aquas, Zones, Sector Z, Area 6, Venom and more. The guide covers 2 Lilat Wars stages and a boss. Meteo, an asteroid field, tasks players with navigating energy circles, battling alien life, and collecting power-ups. A bonus area offers increased power and medal score opportunities. A special exit leads to Katina. Fortuna is an icy stage where Angros threatens scientists. Success requires repelling enemies before a self-destruct sequence. The guide emphasizes using homing bolts, protecting wingmen, especially Slippy, and earning a medal by killing enemies before the Star Wolf squadron appears. Defeating Star Wolf before time runs out unlocks an exit. Finally, the guide details a boss fight against a disc-shaped enemy with a rotating shield. The strategy involves targeting yellow segments, avoiding green energy rays, and surviving a lightning attack. After reaching 50% health, the boss transforms, requiring players to target central segments and evade purple energy rays. This guide from 64 magazine details the Lilat Wars levels of Sector X and Titania. Sector X is a dangerous construction yard with grey doors leading to the special Section Z exit. Players navigate platforms, tunnels, and gun installations, fighting alien ships and saving Peppy, and later, Falco. The boss, HVC-09, requires homing bolts and focused fire on its eyes. Titania, the red planet, features remnants of a civilization and requires rescuing Slippy. Hazards include falling columns and green mines. The guide emphasizes speed control and nova bombs. Players must rescue Falco again and battle ground-based enemies. The Titania boss is a challenging skeletal monster. Shoot down trees for energy, target its club claws, and use nova bombs during the final phase. This guide offers strategies for 3 levels in Lilat Wars: Star Fox 64, Bolse, Venom 1, and Katina. Bols, an artificial planet, requires navigating its gravity, destroying shield-generating towers, and then taking out a defensive tower. The Star Wolf Squadron might appear. Venom 1 takes place on Andros's home world and features intense aerial combat, including a narrow canyon run on expert mode with multiple paths. The boss is a rock creature with a metallic skeleton. Katina features Bill Gray and the Husky Squadron battling boxy alien drones and a mothership. Utilizing homing bolts is key, and destroying the mothership's hatch doors provides bonus points. This guide details 2 Lylat Wars missions, Solar and Macbeth. Solar, an R-Wing mission on a fiery planet, rewards 100 medals. The intense heat drains energy and requires skilled flying to dodge fireballs and firebirds, with power-ups available. The boss is a lava monster. Focus on the arms with blue lasers, then the head. Macbeth, worth 150 medals, uses the Landmaster in a mining complex. Players can either destroy the boss or derail the train for a special exit. The mission involves dogfights, dodging boulders, and clearing carriages. Hidden numbered flags can be shot to point upright. Activating all flags derails the train for a bonus. If not, the kite boss appears. The boss is vulnerable when its head appears, after wasting a claw, and when dropping a box. Then after bombs, it shoots blue beams. Destroy the train when it convulses. Sector Y, requiring the R-Wing, tasks players with defeating bosses and achieving specific hit counts. The mission features descending battleships and challenging enemies. The top route offers rewards but increased difficulty. The boss battle involves a main boss with henchmen. Aquas is a Blue Marine mission emphasizing underwater exploration. Using Slippy's prototype sub, players navigate through murky waters. Torpedoes replace Nova bombs. Key tactics include simultaneous braking, laser fire, and torpedo launches for maximum hits. Players face fish schools, kamikaze starfish, and gun turrets within a vast underwater world. The Lylat Wars boss is a large clam protected by launchers spitting worm-like creatures. The clam opens, revealing a green eye flanked by more launchers. Players must destroy launchers and mussels to attack the eye. Torpedoes are the primary weapon for the eye after the mussels are gone. Warringers. This guide section covers 2 Lylat Wars stages, Zones and Sector Z. In Zones, an underwater world, players pilot the R-Wing, battling a boat boss after destroying flower-type aliens for points and rescuing Cat. The strategy involves targeting side pods, then the central pod, and finally the main body using lasers and Nova bombs. Sector Z involves shooting searchlights and a boss within a space dust formation. Players will encounter spider creatures, oil rigs, and flying lizards, with power-ups available by braking hard. The guide highlights missile traps, suggesting destroying them with blue lasers or following them. The level concludes with fighter waves and Cat support. Bonus points and power-ups are available, though challenging to collect while aiming for high scores. This page is a playing guide for Lylat Wars, diving into Area 6, Venom 2, and the final boss, Andros. Area 6, they reckon, is the direct route to Andros, full of battleships and the infamous Death Ball. The guide tells you to expect a space station and fighter swarms, recommending Nova bombs and homing missiles. The Death Ball boss is described as being built by 3-handed aliens, and you've got to take out its 3 claws and internal energy balls. The strategy is all about precise shooting and dodging its attacks. Venom 2 is next, putting you right on top of Andros's front door. It's a dome covered in towers featuring Andros's face, and Starwolf are back for revenge. The guide advises quick maneuvering and using loops to get behind enemy fighters, suggesting blue lasers for taking them down. They mention the homing bolts as being useless here. Finally, it's Andros himself, described as a giant head. The initial attack is purple electrobolts, and you need to shoot down his hands and aim for his eyes. The guide stresses patience and maneuvering around his brain, tucking in close to get shots in with blue lasers. They also mention Andudros, making a final attack as a gross brain with tentacles, advising to take out the eyes first and avoid the dangling bits. They reckon the best tactic is to be patient and keep moving around him. This page is an advert for Computer Exchange, announcing their new branch in Birmingham. It features a comic strip where the character Tomby is replaced by Melvin Mutt as the mascot. They're pushing their new games releases for PlayStation, Sega Saturn, and Nintendo 64, which include Super Bomberman, Super World Soccer 3, J.League Dynamic Soccer 64, Reverend Limit, Yoshi's Island, GoldenEye, Top Gear Rally, Multi Racing Championship, Blastcore, F1 Pole Position, Lylat Wars, and Body Harvest. They are also highlighting their trade-in service for old games and gizmos towards brand new items, and boasting a wide range of Japanese imports and classic games. There's also a job vacancy ad for computer hardware/software and video games analyst, as well as assistant manager games department positions in both London and Birmingham. This page is a preview for Top Gear Rally on the N64. Reckon it's being pitched as the console's second stab at a proper rally game, following on from Multi-Racing Championship. They're not pulling any punches, calling MRC a yawnsome disappointment, and setting Top Gear Rally up as the one to finally deliver, comparing it to Sega Rally and Rage Racer. They're banging on about real-world physics, customization paint jobs and suspension tweaks no less, and proper weather effects like blizzards and rainstorms, which sounds a bit tasty. Apparently there are 4 tracks, and a hidden 5th one lurking somewhere. Game modes are your standard arcade, championship, time attack, and practice. 9 cars to choose from, plus a couple of secret motors to unlock. Kemco are publishing it, Boss Game Studios are on development duties, and it's slated for September in the US but TBA here in the UK. The screenshots look alright, bit rough around the edges, as you'd expect, but they reckon it could be a winner if they sort out the turbos. Prospects: if they can turn on the turbos, Top Gear Rally could be a winner, is the final verdict, so a bit of a mixed bag then. Dema Design, creators of Lemmings, is releasing a new shoot-'em-up called Body Harvest. Players travel through time to fight alien invaders in locations like ancient Greece and World War I. The game boasts over 130 vehicles and fully explorable 3D landscapes. The page also features several ads for N64 games. Premier Direct offers titles like ISS 64, Mario 64 and Killer Instinct. Vision specializes in part exchanges, selling new and used games, and also sells us N64 console converters. Wild Imports, meanwhile, is promoting us and Japanese N64 consoles and games, along with PlayStation conversion services. This page is a preview of Sonic Wings Assault, or Aero Fighters Assault, as it'll be known in the West, coming to the N64. Developed by Paradigm, who also did Pilot Wings 64, it's described as a mix of flight simulator and arcade shooter, like Afterburner, but without needing a massive manual to get into. They reckon it's got believable flight handling but is still easy to pick up and play. Afterburner. The game features 4 standard aircraft and 2 hidden ones, and even if you don't pick certain planes, your wingmen might use them. Missions will have you rescuing wingmen, taking out MiGs, and facing big bosses at the end of levels. Expect massive enemies like stealth bombers and even mobile fortresses. Level locations mentioned include Tokyo, New York, the Pacific Ocean, the Grand Canyon, the Andes, and even the Arctic. Graphically, it's noted as looking similar in detail to Pilot Wings, but faster paced. They mention a 2-player mode for dogfights, which sounds like a good laugh. The game's due out in October, in the US, and TBA for the UK. They also make a bit of a joke about someone thinking the face of Jesus from Pilot Wings would be in this game too. Overall, it sounds like a solid aerial combat game to look out for. This preview of F1 pole position for the N64 claims it's a revamped human GP, but with the official FOCA license. It boasts improved graphics, reduced pop-up, and enhanced car setup options. Players can race as real teams and drivers, including Michael Schumacher, across a full season or single races, and a battle mode is also included. The page also features several adverts. One is for us, Nintendo 64 consoles and games from Madeira Games, offering next-day delivery. Another is for an online gamers computer system. Console Exchange in Inverness advertises a swap service for various consoles and games. Finally, Skill Academy in London lists a range of us in 64 games with prices, including anticipated releases. This page is a preview for WCW vs NWO World Tour on the N64. It's all about wrestling, and they're having a bit of a moan about the state of wrestling at the time, saying it was big for a few minutes, but then Power Rangers came along. Anyway, they say this game is from THQ, and that it's coming in as an import in November. They're talking about the graphics being alright, and that the camera zooms in and out so you can see all the action. They mention it's got 4-player modes, and that it's unusual for a fighting game, as there are no energy bars. You have to judge your wrestlers' health by how wobbly they are on their feet. They joke about the wrestlers being in Lycra, and the game being Rumble Pack compatible. The preview reckons it might be a good party game if they get it right, but they're also asking if wrestling has had its day. On the right side, there's a big advert for Play magazine, issue 25, boasting a free double-sided Lara Croft poster, and a free cheats book. It mentions Tomb Raider 2, Street Fighter X Plus, and the Lost World on the cover. This article previews 2 upcoming N64 games, Clay Fighter 63 1/3 and Jeopardy! And Wheel of Fortune. Clay Fighter is described as a clay-based fighting game, similar to Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, featuring bizarre moves and characters like Hobocop and Bad Mr. Frosty. The preview is lukewarm, criticizing the graphics but hoping for comedic value. The article then previews 2 quiz show adaptations. Jeopardy! An American quiz show unknown in the UK, boasts over 4,000 questions and a rendered set, though the previewers doubt British audiences will embrace it. Wheel of Fortune, described as a virtual set with digitized contestants, is better known in the UK, and the preview wonders if it will be a Christmas hit. Both quiz games are imports from the US developed by GameTech/Take-Two. Cheta. This page is about subscriptions and back issues of 64 magazine. It's pushing subscriptions with a 35% saving, and perks like early delivery and special letters. You can get 6 or 12 issues, with prices listed for the UK, Europe and worldwide. They're accepting checks and credit cards for payment. For back issues, issue 1 is sold out, but it had Mario 64 and Wave Race. Issue 2 featured Star Fox 64, Blast Corps, and Turok. Issue 3 covers Mission Impossible, ISS 64, and Blast Corps again. Finally, issue 4 boasts Banjo-Kazooie, Conker's Quest, GoldenEye, F-Zero 64, and Mario Kart 64. Looks like they're trying to shift some of the older mags they've got knocking about. The Games Index provides reviews and scores for Nintendo 64 games, including imports. Notable scores include GoldenEye, 96%, a must-have, and Super Mario 64, and Lylat Wars, 95%, considered classics. Mario Kart 64 and Wave Race 64 both scored 94%. Other high-scoring games include ISS 64, 91%, Pilotwings 64, and Blast Corps, 88%. Conversely, Cruisin' USA, 31%, and FIFA 64, 29%, are considered awful. Several Japanese imports are marked N/A due to language barriers. The guide offers short summaries, like Doom 64 being a graphically upgraded PC game, and provides a quick overview of each game's quality. Excitement Direct is heavily advertising N64 bundles. They offer consoles with Blast Corps, Lylat Wars, and Mario Kart 64 at various price points, starting around £177.99. Bundles for International Superstar Soccer 64 and Mario 64 are also available. Extra controllers are £23.99. Deals include International Superstar Soccer 64 and Lylat Wars with Jolt Packs, and GoldenEye with a universal game adapter. Doom 64 is also featured. N64 bundles are available for import. Individual games like Blast Corps, Mario Kart 64, and others are for sale. Accessories include controllers, sticks, cables, and memory cards. They are also offering second-hand game exchanges.